us this morning for the OmniRide Hispanic Council Meeting. My name is Holly Morello, and I'm the TDM Program Manager at OmniRide, and I have just a few housekeeping items before I turn the meeting over to my boss to say a few words. The first thing you already heard is the call is being recorded. Second, wanted to mention that we're going to wait till the end of all the presentations this morning before we ask any questions. So write things down along the way so you'll remember what you wanted to ask. And certainly, or last but certainly not least, I wanted to thank and at the same time introduce our speakers for this morning. We have Paolo Belita. He is the Planning Manager for Prince William County Government. Rico Fleshman, the Executive Director for Keep Prince William Beautiful. Perrin Palestrant, Director of Planning and Operations at OmniRide. And Joe Stainsby, the Chief Development Officer at OmniRide. Joe also happens to be my boss, so I'm turning it over to him to say a few words.
All right, thank you very, very much, Holly. So good morning, everybody. Yep, I'm Joe Stainsby. I'm the CDO at OmniRide. Just want to welcome everybody to the call this morning and just to kind of give a very, very brief view of our mobility councils. This is one leg of our three-legged stool for mobility councils. We also have an employer council, which is meeting tomorrow for a plug for that. So contact Holly if you don't already have the link for that. And our van pool council, which met earlier this spring. We typically have 2 meetings a year for each of the 3 councils, and these are things that came out of our strategic plan to further increase our community engagement, which is a big thing that we're trying to do, as you'll see in my presentation later on in the piece. So you will see on the screen there are some instructions there for accessing live translation through a service that we subscribe to called Wordly. The link is in the chat. It is available in Spanish and also 9 additional languages. If anyone needs to access that for today's meeting, they can certainly do that. So without further ado, we can jump right into the schedule. I want to be respectful of everybody's time, and I'm going to hand it over, I believe, to Paolo Belita, who is joining us from Prince William County Department of Transit. So Paolo, it's over to you.
Thank you, Jay. All right, let me share my screen here. Give me 1 second. All right, looks like we're good to go. Good morning, everyone. Very excited to be here. Again, my name is Paolo Belita with Prince William County Department of Transportation. And my goal today is to give a brief update on many projects going on here in Prince William County. I wish we had the time. We have about 50 active projects, but today I'll focus on some of the major projects. So you'll see a lot of roadways and major interchanges, but I did want to highlight we have other multimodal projects that we implement. We have sidewalks, we have trails, we have general projects to improve access to transit, making sure we have adequate sites for bus shelters, for example. So just a quick background on Prince William County Department of Transportation. We plan and implement multimodal projects in the state of Virginia to include Prince William County. VDOT, the Virginia Department of Transportation, maintains and owns most, if not all, of our roadways. And what the county does is we implement mobility projects on behalf of the Board of County Supervisors and the community to really ensure that we're constructing projects that matters most to the county citizens and the community. That being said, I'll jump into the first couple projects. The first couple of projects are actually VRE projects, but we did want to highlight some of their projects. The Quantico Station Improvements Project is ongoing. This includes station improvements. This actually will be completed sometime in 2023. The other VRE project in the West End is the Broad Run Station and Yard Improvements Project. VRE is constructing a new parking facility north of the tracks, which will be accessed through a new tunnel. This is a major project. It's a federal project. It's currently ongoing. This is anticipated to be completed in 2027. Going into projects that the Prince William County Transportation Department is implementing, the first is the University at Route 234 Quadrant Intersection Improvements Project. This is across from Innovation and across from the FBI building. These are intersection improvements. Currently, we wrapped up design. We're going to begin construction sometime this fall. And the intent of this is to really improve throughput at Prince William Parkway at University Boulevard. So we're very excited for this project. The other project is the Route 20 Phase 3 project. This is the widening from 4 to 6 lanes between Linton Hall and Pennsylvania Avenue. We've substantially completed the project. Roadway work is completed. We have some trail work that needs to be completed. This will be completed fall of this year. Another exciting project we have is University Boulevard Extension Project between Edmonston and Sudley Manor Drive. This connects a missing section of University east of Devlin Road. This is under design, will be completed, construction will be completed sometime in July of 2024. Project not too far from that location is the Devlin Road widening north. This is a federal project. We're widening from 2 to 4 lanes. Project is ongoing. It's a federally funded project. It's anticipated to be completed in 2025. We do want to highlight this project. It ties into the next project. If you're out on Route 234 by Ballsville Road, you'll see the interchange under construction, one of our larger projects valued at $100 million. So we're very excited to get this going. This is ongoing and it's going to be completed summer of 2023, but it'll be open to traffic hopefully early 2023. So we're very excited for this project to get going. It does improve access to Ballsville Road and PRTC's Western Maintenance Facility. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. It does connect to the other widening project we have, and this is where it provides improvements in direct access to the Western Maintenance Facility. This is the Ballsville Road widening from 2 to 4 lanes between Doan Drive in Ashton Avenue. This project will also be completed in summer 2023. Next couple of slides, I'll focus on VDOT's project on the 66 corridor. This is the Transform 66 outside the Beltway project. It's been going on for many years, since 2017. They're wrapping it up. This project includes multimodal improvements. The main focus is the 2 express lanes in each direction on 66, but also includes new commuter lots along the 66 corridor, including 2 major commuter lots here in Prince William County. The express lanes will be open in December 2022 is what we're informed by VDOT. One of those improvements I had mentioned is the Ballsford Road Park and Ride lot. This is connected through Ballsford Road. So once completed, the commuter lot will have direct access to the express lanes on 66, and this will be completed along with express lanes December 2022. The other commuter lot that's already been constructed and partially open is the Route 29 at University Boulevard commuter ride lot. Currently, there's 1,000 spaces open, but by the end of the year, 2,000 additional spaces will be completed. So this is a future additional capacity increasing commuter lot here that's going to be open shortly. Going back to county projects, we have the Brentsville Road interchange of Prince William Parkway. Project is still under design. This will be completed in May 2024. Right now, you're not seeing much work out there. There's been some great work done, but this is where Dumfries Road intersects with 234 and Prince William Parkways there. So there's 2 signals closely spaced to each other. This will remove those signals and create a grade separated interchange. Another major project we have currently under design is the Route 28 bypass project. This project creates a new 4-lane facility west of existing Route 28, just west of Yorkshire, and ties into Fairfax County. Project is still under design, which will be in design for the next several years, but the anticipation construction will be completed in October of 2028. Going to the east end is the Neabsco Mills Road widening project from 2 to 4 lanes. This is in front of Freedom High School and the Northern Virginia Community College Woodbridge campus. We're going to begin construction this fall and it will be completed in early 2024. Another major project in the east end is the Old Bridge Road and Occoquan Road intersection improvements project. If you're familiar with this location, it's a sharp curve on Old Bridge Road as you go west. So this project realigns that roadway, and this project will be completed in early 2026. Another project we have is actually adjacent to the Horner Road commuter lot is the Summer School Road widening and Telegraph Road project. This project creates a new 4-lane facility and widens a portion of Telegraph Road. This project is underway and will be completed in early 2024. Fordo Heights Road, this is a project we have at the Quantico Marine Base entrance. We're creating a roundabout and improving access at that location right at Route 1. This project will begin construction this fall and will be completed in early 2024. Fraley Boulevard widening, this is the widening of Route 1 in the town of Dumfries, a major project. We're working with the town of Dumfries. This project will create a new 6-lane roadway and use existing 2-lane southbound as the main street for the town. A project is underway and will be completed in the winter of 2026. One of our most exciting projects, working very closely with OmniRide, is the Potomac Neabsco Mills Commuter Garage project. This is our first commuter garage project and commuter garage in the county. This is a very exciting project, working closely with OmniRide, making sure we have the adequate bus facilities on there. It'll be a future hub for OmniRide. Project is ongoing. It'll be completed in summer of 2024. Another roadway project we have is in North Border Bridge. It is extension of Annapolis Way and connects two missing sections there from the east to the west. Project is ongoing. It'll be completed in 2024. If you travel Route 1, you see a lot of construction work. This is the widening of Route 1, 4 to 6 lanes between Frederickstone Road and Mary's Way. Project is ongoing. You'll see some construction work. A lot of the issues we're dealing now with is with utilities. We anticipate this project will be completed in summer of 2023. So with that, I'll hand it over to the next presenter.
Thank you so much, Paolo. We'll give Rico a second to get his slides up.
Just for a second, I will interject there and just say for those folks who joined us maybe a little bit after the top of the hour, if you need to access the live translation services, there is a link right at the very, very top of the chat, which you can click on, that will provide live translation into Spanish and 9 other languages as well. We did have a slide at the beginning, but the other people's presentations necessitated us taking that down. So if you joined after the top of the hour and you need to avail yourself of that, the link is in the chat.
Morning, everyone. And can everyone hear me okay? See my slides okay? Right.
Yes.
Like Holly said, and thank you, Paolo, for the introduction. I'm Rico Fleshman, Executive Director of King Prince William Beautiful. And if you're not familiar with King Prince William Beautiful, we are a grant-funded organization through Prince William County and Virginia DEQ, responsible for recycling education, litter education, and community programs, and environmental sustainability education and advocacy across the county. So we're very excited to be in a partnership group with OmniRide to do a bus shelter beautification program in Prince William County. It's the first of its kind in this county, and as far as I'm aware, the first in the state, possibly. But we are partnered with OmniRide. It's King Prince William Beautiful, Prince William County Department of Neighborhood Services, Prince William County Department of Park and Recreations, Amazon Web Services and Communities, and Apple Federal Credit Union. So this program, if you've never heard of anything like this, it is meant to foster a place of community in all of our communities, right? It serves to create this very aesthetic, appealing, beautiful artwork on the bus shelters across the county. And to that end, we've put out an RFQ, selected artists, and given them the theme of environmental sustainability that I'll talk to a little bit later, that they will then create this artwork, and they have created the artwork. We've seen the beautiful artwork that they submitted to us that will go directly on the bus shelters. Part of the program also is not just to put a coat of paint on a bus shelter and call it good, but we're also making sure that we provide this consistent litter cleanup around the bus shelters, returning carts to shopping centers, those things, to really make this a unique and valuable project. So taking that into consideration, when we approached the public about doing this, we wanted to make sure that we were being inclusive of all groups, regardless of race or ethnicity, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, any of those things that would maybe preclude someone from wanting to participate in this. I mean, we want this to really be representative of everyone in the county and everyone in every one of the communities in the counties. And so going forward, the program will, the themes will vary depending on the different shelters, so that we can incorporate all of those different things with diversity into the artwork that goes on the shelters. So the artwork itself, like I said, we gave the artist the theme of environmental sustainability. I wanted to come out of the gate strong with something that, that we are charged with doing in the county. So you see the copy of the shelter here. That is, those 5 back panels are the ones that the artists have given us their designs that they will paint on. And all of the 5 or 4 artists have actually taken all 5 panels and will paint what essentially becomes a mural across the back of the bus shelter. Just back a second, initially we selected 4 shelters around the county to start with. Those are strategically placed around the county so that we get, I think, the best visibility and a good snapshot of the locations where they are, so people can really get an idea that this is rolling out, that it's happening, that it's going to make a difference in what they see in their neighborhoods. So as far as the design, we really didn't want to limit the artist in any way or hamstring them in any way. We really wanted to see what they could come back with this theme of environmental sustainability. The only thing that we really encourage them to do is to actually go to the shelters that they selected, that amongst the ones that we provided them, so that they could be immersed in the neighborhood. They could see the surrounding geography and any of the cultural influences or natural landmarks that would play into the design that they created. And they did that. Again, we provided a small grant for this for all of the artists as kind of recompense for their supplies, and then actually to show our appreciation for them doing it. The artwork's going to be displayed on the shelters for 1 year from the date of installation. And at that time, we're going to auction off the artwork and provide half of those funds to the artists themselves, and then half will go to Keep Prince William Beautiful and PRTC to help continue to maintain the program and make them whole. During the display period that the artwork is going to be up, we're actually going to have a small plaque on each one of the artist's work that is a QR code that can go directly to their website, so that anyone passing by can just scan that code and see who the artist is and kind of see the body of their work, so that they also get some more and additional exposure. So as far as this is concerned, one of the things that we're doing is actually now working on with the artists to get that QR code established and the website that they want to link to, so that we can get that up on the site. As far as where we are, the artists actually have all of the panels now, and they are putting paint to panels. So we are very excited that all of the partners involved. In that initial slide that I showed you all of the partners, we're all extremely excited that this is actually happening. I mean, I'm glad to say that there have been no major milestones or obstacles that we had to face in doing this, but it's really been a really good process, and everyone involved is really excited to see it go. So you can see kind of the timeline that we work with there. It's not, there's more that happened behind the scenes in all of that timeline to actually make this work. But we are, like I said, we're all already at the last bullet down there, which will be installation, which if everything goes according to the schedule, will be by the end of next month. In a day, will be at the end of next month. But like I said, the artists are putting paint to panels now, and I can't wait for everyone in the public to see kind of the designs that they've come up with and see this grow. So I'll answer questions at the end.
Yeah, at the end would be great. Thank you. And I will now bring up Perrin's presentation. And can you see that? Because I cannot from my screen. No. Okay, let's try this again. There we go.
Yep, it's there.
Except for it's still not in slideshow mode, right?
Try the F5 key.
Let's try that again. There we
There we
go.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Perrin Palistrand. I'm the Director of Operations and Operations Planning at OmniRide. I'm just doing a short presentation on where we are with several of our projects that we've been working on. Next slide, please. The first one is proposed Sunday Eastern local bus service that we have for our Dale City, Dumfries, Woodbridge, Lake Ridge, Route 1, local buses and our Prince William Metro Express that connects Woodbridge to Franconia Springfield. We just had a robust outreach program where we were conducting surveys on board the buses. We had a big outreach event at our transit center and a public hearing, very well attended for all. And we'll be going back to our commission at the July 7th meeting to recommend that we go forward with the Sunday Eastern local service. This would be the exact same type of service that we operate on Saturday. So same frequencies, same span of services. So it'll be in essence a weekend service that we would operate. And if it's approved in July, then we would implement it August 28th. Next slide. And this is just an overall view of our timeline. We started this in the early spring with putting everything together. We got the approval to go to public hearing in May, and we had the hearing itself in June in the public comment period, and then all the other outreach events that we had taking place up till now. And in July, we go to the commission meeting, and then August 28th, hopefully we go ahead and we begin our service. Next slide. Another big project that we're starting to work on is a restructure of our Eastern local bus service. In December 2019, we restructured our entire Western local bus service, and we learned a lot from that. And we've been doing some tweaks with that and learning, taking lessons learned with what we want to do with the Eastern local service. It's a very large service area that we have to do. So instead of doing it all in one, like we did with the Western service area, we would break it up into phases and do it sections. It's a lot easier to communicate what the changes are. It's a lot easier for customers and operators to get used to what the service changes are. And then we learn from each one of those until the entire Eastern local service is restructured. It will also be in phases in terms of how we actually get everything going. At some point when they're all done, the main Eastern hub will still be the transit center here in Woodbridge, but the goal is to move everything over to the Stonebridge lot once that's opened up in mid-2024, as Paulo had mentioned. And our initial implementation, we're looking at proposing for spring of 2023. So April-May timeframe, we'd like to get a part of this going, and there will be a lot of outreach behind that as we do that. Next slide, please. Another area that we've been focusing on is our transit amenities. As Rico mentioned, we're doing the artwork program on the shelters, but we're also doing a lot of other things as far as safety enhancements and just the overall rebranding of our bus stops. We have one particular stop at the McCourt building on Prince William Parkway that's sort of become our demo stop just because it's in where it is located, centrally located in the county. We have a lot of service through there and there's a lot of eyes on it. We have some solar lighting that we're testing on it that's activated by the passenger, so to illuminate the area right above the bus stop. So we're looking at that as an option. We're also looking into moving stops around so they're more focused underneath the existing street light infrastructure and some other options as well. The new bus stop signage that we have, we introduced that on the Western local side. We'll be looking at replicating something similar on the Eastern side. And we also have a lot of regional coordination taking place too. OmniRide is part of a group that WMATA formed where it gets all the transit systems together in the area. And we discuss what our stop issues are, whether it's from a location issue, a consistency issue. We want to have some uniform look. So when you ride from one system to the next, you can tell what's a bus stop and who serves it. We're also working together with VDOT and the various entities that approve our bus stop locations to see what we can do to expedite the process and to locate us in safe locations that have sidewalks, crosswalks, traffic lights, etc. Next slide, please. Also on the Western service area, in June, we were approved to implement microtransit service. This would be in Manassas Park and would take over existing Route 68 that operates through there. The route itself is a very small footprint in Manassas Park, but this green zone on the screen shows the entire area that the microtransit would be available. And this would be either an app-based service or somebody could use it on the web to schedule their rides or call into our customer service. and the rides can be scheduled the same day, and then the ride would then be booked based on the most convenient time that I can come to get the person and take them within that zone. This will allow people to just stay within the area themselves or connect in with our local transit service and then go elsewhere in Western County or our East-West Express that comes to Woodbridge. Next slide, please. We have some other exciting proposals on the table as well, and we'll be doing a lot of outreach in the summer. We're going to our board in July to seek authorization to go to public hearing, public comment on a series of changes related to the I-66 express lanes opening. We'll be doing some restructuring of our bus services to serve the new commuter lots. And then also we have this new proposed service. It's a state-funded service that operates from the Balls Ford commuter lot to the Reston area. This would start in December in conjunction with the opening of the express lanes, and the public hearings and outreach will be in the summer and the fall. Next slide. This is a map of what the preliminary route looks like. It would be taking 66 to Route 28, and then once into the Reston area, it would be following a lot of what's in that area from Fairfax Connector and other providers that are there. It would connect in with the Innovation Station on the Silver Line, so people could take the metro to the airport, for example, or other areas in Loudoun County. It would then also cross over the Dulles Toll Road and serve the Reston Town Center area and allow the employment areas in that section, and then come back over and then terminate at the U.S. Geological Survey, which is that big loop on the end that would just go around the building. But that's a big employment area and a big destination for Prince William County residents as well. Next slide. We are in the process of completing our zero emissions bus study. We started this in fall of 2021. We have a state grant to do this, and we've been learning a lot about it. There's a lot of different aspects to the zero emissions bus. Electric is the big thing right now, and that's what a lot of agencies are doing. We're taking a wait and see approach and starting off small, and we just want to learn about this before we go ahead and make these significant investments into converting away from diesel fuel into something else. There's electric bus, there's hydrogen fuel cells, so there's a lot of things that we need to understand, and we're working collaboratively with the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, with the regional transit systems, and with APTA, the American Public Transportation Association. They have a zero emissions bus working group that we've been part of as well. And in fact, later this afternoon, I have a presentation with them as well. So we're doing a lot of information sharing. We have some agencies in the area that have started that transition over. So they're kind of on the bleeding edge of things at the moment, and we're learning from that as well, and taking that slow approach and ensuring that we are ready to make that leap away from the fossil fuels that we're using now. Next slide, please. And this is just a timeline. We're in the middle of or just towards the end of the study. So in the later this month, well, probably more next month or August, we'll start seeing our draft memos that wrap up where we're at. Just some of the different aspects that we're looking at, reconfigurations that we would need to our facilities to be able to incorporate it, and then putting together a timeline of a fleet transition period that would be reasonable for us to be able to do. Next slide. And what we have been learning is a lot about what is available out there. You have the battery electric buses, hydrogen fuel cell. Those are the two that are the main zero to very low emissions from the tailpipe itself. But it doesn't account for what needs to be done to actually create the electricity or create the hydrogen. And that's what we're all learning about, is how is that being done to make sure that's also a clean energy solution. So not just with the tailpipe, which is important, but also in producing it as well. There's other technologies that are out there. They're not zero emissions, but a lot of agencies are using them. There's electric hybrid, there's plug-in electric hybrid, there's clean diesel, which we use on our vehicles now. They're all clean diesel. And then there's compressed natural gas. But even though it's cleaner than what's out there, it's not zero emissions. Next slide, please. So what we've learned is one fuel type does not fit all. everybody's service area is different. Everybody's service that they provide is different. We have a lot of long haul commuter service. So right now the battery electric technology doesn't lend itself so well for that type of service. It works better in more of your stop and go local bus service. So this will come in phases for us. And it may be that we have multiple solutions for it. It could be we have a mix of hydrogen fuel cell or battery electric. So we're not closing the door to any particular technology, but we want to make sure whatever it is works well, because if we can't get a 1-for-1 replacement, then that means more resources that we're utilizing. We need more buses, more operators. We're trying to get it as close to 1-to-1 as possible. And as the different manufacturers learn, their batteries are becoming stronger, so they have longer ranges. Right now, what happens is if you want more range on it, they just put more batteries, and that makes the bus heavier. And after a while, you lose the added benefit of the battery. If you have to keep putting more batteries on there, you don't get 100% of the return on it. But having a battery that gets a longer range on it, then that might be doable. And that's something that we're hearing as well, is that eventually these batteries become lighter, you'll need less of them, and they'll have a longer range. So it'll be more similar to what we have with a diesel bus, where you can probably just use one bus to do your entire duty cycle that's required. We're also talking with each other. We don't want to settle. We want the manufacturers to listen to us instead of us having to listen to what they have out there. And in large part, that's happening. They see that what the shortcomings are and what are the things that they have to keep tweaking. But it's an evolution, and at least we're making the transition over to it. There is a commitment by all the transit systems to do conversion. It's just that each agency is a little bit different with how it can do it, and the utility partnerships, and then the overall cost to be able to transition over to that. Next slide, please. Our future purchasing, start small, but think big. You have to start somewhere. What we have done is we put in a low-no grant application to the FTA at the end of May. And what we want to do is begin the conversion over with our small cars, the pool fleet, and then our paratransit vans. That would be the easiest way for us to make that conversion. It's a more readily accessible technology that's out there. It's proven. There's a lot of electric cars out there. The infrastructure that we need for those is no different than what you see at a grocery store or a shopping mall, where you can plug in your car or truck there. It will be the same thing, the same type of technology. We would just have multiple ones throughout our bus yards. We're also looking at expanding it so it would be for visitors that come to our facility and they have an electric car, they could plug their car in there, or maybe even opening it up to the public to some degree, so they could plug their car in. Let's say at Woodbridge, you can plug your car in here at the transit center and then take a bus from there and go across the street to the mall, or go be a commuter and go into DC. But giving you those options to be able to be completely clean, not only with your own personal vehicle, but then hopping aboard our transit service too and being clean with your commute. But so we're just continuing the partnership learning and seeing what we can do with the different cities and counties that we serve, and exploring all different types of technology out there. Next slide, please. And that's it for my presentation.
Thank you, Perrin. I'll go ahead and stop, Joe, so that you can start.
Wonderful. I did also just put the link to the live translation in the chat again. I'd had it communicated to me that maybe some folks weren't able to see it at the beginning of the top of the chat, so I just put it in there again. So bear with me 1 second here. I'm juggling a myriad of windows, so let's have a look. All right, how's that looking, Holly?
Looks good.
All right. Well, then it must not be my presentation then. So, all right. I'm here all week. Right, so, good morning, everyone. I'm Joe. I'm with OmniRide, obviously. I'm the Chief Development Officer. And, you know, what does the Chief Development Officer do? Good question. One of the main things that I do is, I have been doing, is following our strategic plan to set up things like this council call like that you're on right now, where we go from telling to listening. That's the title of my presentation, where we're trying to overhaul some of the stuff that we do so we can garner more community feedback, so that we can, really figure out what it is that you guys want. And so critically, participation is key. Your participation in calls like today, thank you so much for joining. And whether that's, asking questions in the Q&A and discussion afterwards, or that's pinging myself or Holly or Perrin or whoever at any time with your suggestions. So I'm going to take some time here a little bit to go through, kind of overhauling a little bit of our outreach and how that came about. And I won't go too much into the project that it was actually about. Give me 1 second here. Let's hopefully this moves on. All right, good. But because Perrin very briefly touched on it, and that would be our change of the Route 68 Manassas Park local over to a micro transit zone as opposed to a fixed route transit. And we wanted to make sure, this is our first time dipping our toe into the water with a new mode of service, that we really were trying to get that information out there as possible. And my whole caveat to all of this is we know we can do better. What I'm about to talk about was good for us. It was the best that we've done, but it's not the best that can be done. And so we want your guys' feedback on, different places that we could put advertisements, different ways that we could go and meet people, places, frequencies, all of these things where we can do our outreach better. We just had a Sunday service thing the other week, and we did, an entire day's worth of, standing outside of the PRTC Transit Center here to actually really interact with people as they came off the buses and get them to come into the public hearing or to register a comment. That's stuff that we haven't necessarily done in the past. And so we're really trying to do the best that we can, but the best that we can is going to involve, ideas from everybody. So first things first, what's our kind of standard process and the standard process? Generally speaking, you are required to have a public hearing. You have a public comment period for 30 days. So people can either show up and comment at the hearing, or they are required to, send in an email, or they can phone in and leave a voice message, and that counts as a public comment, which all goes on the record, which is then presented to our board, and they use that to help formulate the decisions that they make on the service that is operated. And then, as I mentioned there, it's presented to the board for a final decision. This specific process came about because of our changes to the Route 68. I won't go too much into it. On the left there, you see the picture of the Route 68. It had some issues in terms of its ridership, in terms of its service frequency. And so we were looking at to overhaul that route potentially into a micro transit zone, which works a lot like, an Uber or a Lyft, except it doesn't typically come to right where you're standing when you request the ride. It comes to a very close point of aggregation, which is either going to be an existing bus stop or a street corner or something like that, it's routing you to a specific point. So it's not a door-to-door service. That's where Uber or Lyft come in, and this is not that. Again, there's the proposed zone. Perrin did show a picture of this. I'm glad that this one is ever so slightly different, because I feel like it really does make the point. What you have there in the blue is the Route 68, and what you have is the kind of, green amorphous avocado shaped blob is the area of proposed coverage for the micro transit zone. So we really were trying to cover a lot more of the service area of Manassas and Manassas Park with this kind of service, and it was the perfect time with the change in the mode to also really try and push out what the message and to get as much feedback as we could. Micro transit, again, these are some of the advantages of it, which I won't harp on about, but it's basically the flexibility. It's a demand response service, and it allows you with resources, because you're not just running a bus if no one's using it, right? It's demand response that allows you to have better frequencies to cover a bigger area at shorter headways. What you have here is the timeline of what we did. You'll see a little logo there for a newly formed outreach group called Team 360, and this is kind of our own internal effort to really try and come up with innovative ways of marketing things and to be putting ourselves out there in community. And oftentimes it's not so much innovative ways of doing it, but just the frequency with which we do it. And so we have created an internal team, which the staff volunteers their time to go out and really help get these things done. So we had a two-phased approach that went from August of 2021 to December 2021, and then from January through June. You know, generally speaking, you just go to the commission one time and they would approve it. That's not what happened in this case. We did a whole bunch of stuff. We had a public hearing, a town hall, as you can see, in August 2021, and the public comment period. You know, we had ads in English and Spanish. That's not uncommon. We advertise in both of those languages in the press and also digitally as well. But the amount of time that we did that was much longer. We also received a petition from folks who are potentially concerned about the service change. We took the extra time to completely go through that petition, contact all of those people, you know, 2 or 3 times, and find out exactly where their opposition lie and communicate that to the board. We did a ridership survey over there in February of 2022. We did, you know, ride-alongs on the buses that I'll get to in a little bit. We also conducted an additional listening session, which was actually much less structured than, you know, our typical public hearing. We didn't formally present something. It was much more of a dialogue with interested stakeholders, and that's kind of a different way of doing things. I think transit agencies tend to very much lean on we're going to do our presentation and then we're going to take questions and then we're going to leave. And that's really not how we did this. We wanted to have that extended dialogue for someone to have the opportunity to talk with myself or Perrin for 20 or 30 minutes if they so chose to, or even longer if they wanted to. We just made ourselves available, and that was, you know, extremely well attended and extremely positive. We also met with the Prince William County Commission on Aging to actually, you know, talk to some individuals specifically about concerns that older folks might have about accessing the service, because it is predominantly done through an app. But there is the ability to call in. There is the ability to do it online. You know, you're using the same fabulous customer service agents that we have for all of our regular services. You know, so these are people that in many cases we're already dealing with. So we wanted to demystify and kind of, you know, de-scarify the whole process for as many people as we possibly could, and really go above and beyond. So what you see here is some of the stuff that we did in our phase 1, and a lot of this stuff is kind of the standard stuff that we would typically do, which is laborious, and it's, you know, it's great outreach, and it's just kind of comes very much from the standard toolkit. This is our phase 2 approach, with, you know, more of our targeted Facebook ads, communications to HOAs in the affected footprint, bill inserts. We have a spectacular marketing team here inside OmniRide, and they were able to work with the different homeowners associations and also the Manassas Park, the city of Manassas Park, to get our information up on their website, to get those utility bill inserts sent out, and also to liaise with these different agencies so that we could add this listening session. Our fabulous customer service staff took a not insignificant amount of time going through all of the petition signers, contacting each one of them individually, offering, you know, some expertise and facts about the service and noting their concerns, and all of this then having to get communicated back to the board. So a lot of extra stuff that was done. One of the main things in terms of our visibility and also, you know, just generally the amount of time spent, in the first week of March, the staff spent over 100 hours riding the Route 68 and other routes on the western side of the county, talking to them directly about the service, you know, asking them to take our ridership survey, you know, which is available both in English and in Spanish. There was a QR code that was available so they could take it on the bus using the electronic devices that we had on the bus at the time. We did have native Spanish speakers riding the bus as well. So we really did as much as we could reasonably do in our minds at the time to be able to work with the community in that area, both the Spanish speaking and the English speaking community, and really try and get as much of their feedback as humanly possible. And as I said at the jump, we can do better. We plan to do better, but this is an iterative process, and this was certainly a change for us, because I think we've been somewhat comfortable with what we had been doing up until this point. And we discovered by doing so many of these ride-alongs and this, that, and the other, you know, it's a great way to connect with the operators. It's a great way to really see how people use the service. And we have instituted many more staff ride-alongs outside of service changes to be able to just kind of get greater feedback from the community that we serve about what is going on with our service. These are some of the results of the survey. As I said, the survey is available in English and Spanish. We had 152 people that took the survey. Most of them didn't answer all the questions. And he has just some of the feedback. And so this was available electronically. And one of the main reasons to do it electronically was it does allow that instant use of it in English and in Spanish, or frankly, any of the other languages, because it's built into the actual survey and into your web browser to automatically translate. So it's just from an access perspective, and that type of stuff was extremely useful for us. What you have here is also some of our outreach, both physical and electronic, that was available both in English and Spanish. We ran this in banner ads, we put this on Facebook. Some of the stuff was physically printed out and put on the buses with the scannable QR codes. Top left there, you see a posting on the Manassas Park website. And so we were really trying to get this out in as many places as we humanly could, and make sure that both English and Spanish were well covered. This is the contacting of the petition signers, where we called each one a maximum of 3 times. If we weren't able to get hold of you the first or second time, everyone got a third call. We explained to folks what was going on. And this was, something that I think our customer service department spent about 40 hours actually going through this and really making sure that we had spoken to all of these people, and everybody's issues and concerns were very much heard, and documented and then presented to our board. So with the hearings, we had the public hearing, which is required. We did also have a town hall and a listening session. A town hall is basically a public hearing, just by a slightly different name, because it's slightly less, legally required. And the listening session is that more, amorphous back and forth discussion that we really wanted to have. And mercifully, it went extremely well. The risk with doing it that way is that if you don't have very good attendance, you're throwing a ball against a wall for 2 hours, right? But that's not what happened. It was extremely well attended for that type of thing. And so I don't need to get into actually any of the changes, but those things were extremely well attended. We also took in our email and phone comments. Those are all common ways that people have of giving feedback, but the feedback period was much, much longer than it would normally be, because of the length of the time that we were doing the outreach in order to give the board the opportunity to make a decision, which ended up being almost exactly a year. So our conclusions. Again, we did well, but always could do better. We had Spanish speakers on buses, the survey in Spanish. All of our materials were available in Spanish. And I know we're going into the kind of the Q&A here. We have about 11 minutes, so I've overly yacked, but not too much. What more can we do? Who should we work with? We're always looking to try and work with different individual community organizations, whether it be, our homeowners associations that have very high Hispanic populations, like Georgetown South, for example, or whether that's, Holly going on, local community radio stations through like To Comunidad or something like that, which she has done in the past. These are things that we want to add to our toolkit to be able to more effectively reach out to folks. The Wordly app that we're using in today's meeting to provide the live translation for folks that need it. Everything is an iterative process, but we are really trying to do in an earnest and honest way the very best that we can. And whether that's in your comments here after I finally shut up, or whether that's afterwards with emails or comments to Holly or myself, please give us your feedback as to how we can improve what we are doing. Because as much as these councils are evolving, over time, for those folks who've been in previous ones of these, our feedback is also evolving, and the way we try to get more help on what we are doing is also evolving. So we really do just want your involvement. That's my contact information there at the end, and all of these presentations that we've had today will certainly be available electronically, and we will put a transcript of this up and a video of this also on our website on our Mobility Council's page. But that's all I have. So Holly, I'll kick it back to you.
Thanks, Joe, very much. And thanks to all the other presenters. As Joe said, the materials will all be put on our website, but I will send everyone from today's call a link to that page so that you can find it easily. And all the presenters are still here. So we've got time for questions. Feel free to unmute and just ask, or if you're shy, put it in the chat.
Yeah, the awkward silence. I can hum the Jeopardy song.
Joe, give me a chance, please. I had to unmute.
All right, Ray. Let's hear it.
Raymond Beveridge with the Prince William Commission on Aging. And again, Joe, thank you for coming out. For those not familiar with the Commission on Aging, the core 11 are the point in the county, the 7 districts, the chair at large appoints one, and then the 2 cities have reps. So the whole purpose with Joe coming out, and when I suggested him, was so that particularly the county reps who have the ear of the box, who sit on the commission, works well. I just have one question, and Parent, on the weekend survey, what was the number of responses to that?
We had almost 250 responses to the survey, and about 94% had said they are in favor of the service or they had used the service. So we had an overwhelming response to it.
Thank you, because that's another one that when I get the stuff from Holly, I publish it all over the place to say, participate, participate, participate. But that's fantastic. Thank you. That's a good
Sure.
follow-up I can take to the Commission on Aging and kind of beat them up a little. Thank you.
Right, and to Ray's point there, you know, I want us to get to the point where we're an agency where if something is presented to us as an outreach opportunity, we don't say no to it. You know, fortunately, Ray, for folks who don't know Mr. Beveridge, he's not backwards about coming forwards. So, you know, he's obviously very inclined to have us volunteer to come to these things, and we are very happy to participate. So if you have something that you would like us to participate in, don't think that, oh, they're not going to want to do that because it's beneath us or it's, you know, it's different than what we normally do. That's fine. That's totally fine, right? The only bad thing is to not ask us. We are here to, you know, to try and do outreach in whatever different ways as we can. And it's not just the frequency with what we normally do. So if there are places that we typically don't go, you know, that we don't know about, because, you know, it definitely does happen, please just reach out to us.
And one of the areas that we are looking at having our outreach for the Western service changes is the Georgetown South Community Center, as we're looking for places to have it. We're looking at the libraries and City Hall and those types of things, but Georgetown South was an option that has come up that we're looking at also having it.
I'll give you a suggestion for another location, and it's Mathis Avenue, is the Islamic Center. The Imam has said more than once, community groups are more than welcome to come in. The city held its Mathis Avenue redesign there. Great audio-visual support by the folks there. So that location would be a good one.
Great. If you have a contact, would you be able to send that to us? That's terrific.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
I'll dig them out of the Rolodex.
Thanks very much. Okay, we've still got time. Does anyone else have a question? I
Me?
see Alicia does.
Alicia, yeah. Alicia Pardo from Tenant and Workers United. I'm very glad about here all this meeting, but this is organization we work especially with the ground, you know, with the people, and then I'm really glad to hear about all the paperwork. All the paperwork is in Spanish, and then we have a translation. This is really good because we are in the ground and we can explain to the people and we can educate to our community. But if you see, our Prince William County is getting more and more bigger Spanish community, and I think it's really good to know about that, and we can tell the people, okay, everything is in Spanish. You can read, you can participate, and you can see. Thank you very much for this meeting. I'm really glad I heard a lot about Spanish things, and I think the Prince William County is getting forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you very much. All right, we still have time for a little bit more. Otherwise, I'm giving people 5 whole minutes back into their morning.
To say, I love the bus beautification project. I think it's really great enhancement for everybody. And also all the roadworks being done and different things you're creating with that roadwork for people to be able to use the bus more. And I'll continue in whatever way I can on behalf of the chamber to share your council and committees meetings, since our Hispanic council meetings are going to be quarterly and in person. And you all are always welcome to join us there and share whatever information you like. Going forward, I'll be talking, we're doing planning for the year, so I will get a hold of you, Holly, and see if you all, want to make sure you have a table there or do something to, keep following up with this. And I will always share your information each month. Is this a monthly meeting or did you just start
It's actually
this?
twice a year.
Twice
The
a
next
year,
one will be
okay.
sometime in December.
Okay,
So,
great. Okay, that's good to know.
but I will be at all of the Hispanic quarterly meetings, so you can count on it. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, Holly.
And Margot, if you could include me in that as well. I mean, we would love to be at those, and maybe set up a table and be there too.
Oh, of course I will, Rico. Thank you.
All right, then one more appeal. Does anyone else have a question? Feel free, unmute, go ahead. All right, then someone the other day at a presentation said the 5-second rule. So it's been 5 seconds.
That was
And I just
JR.
want to say, thanks again so much, everyone, for joining. We much appreciate it. Keep your eyes peeled for a follow-up email from me, and everyone have a great Thursday and see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.